I've met thousands of babies. I've never seen one that I believe will kill someone. The road from a beautiful baby with all the potential in the world to someone accused or convicted sitting across from me is often a very, very deep, interesting, complex story. And do you ever wonder how someone becomes a criminal? I've never worked with a serial killer who has a narrative where I don't understand how they got there. In my third year at Duke, I was a staff psychologist at the counseling center, and a psychiatrist came up to me and said, "Hey, you'd like working with students that have the greater amount of psychopathology? We have a guy on death row. He won't talk to anyone on the legal team, and I was wondering if you might be interested in joining the team to see if you can go there and get him to talk." I went over to death row in North Carolina, and I sat in a room not unlike this with the inmate. I just started having the normal North Carolina conversation with him, and I said, "Duke or UNC?" And he looked at me and said, "UNC, of course." And I was like, "You and I are not going to get along." That broke our ice. We're sitting there in about our third or fourth meeting together, and I began to ask him about what happened. The part that he didn't want to talk about was that when he had lost his temper, he shot his partner, and the small caliber bullet ricocheted and killed the baby who was in the room. And the moment I will never forget is as we were going through his life, and he was finally opening up this story about what happened to the baby to me, and he started bawling. And he just said to me, "I wish I would have met you when I was 12. And so I got up and I walked around the table and I sat next to him and I held him. That work then laid this crazy pathway of for my future, where all over the place people were like, "Yo, you need to hire Blackshear, you need to hire Blackshear." So I've worked on cases from Canada to Alabama to California, to Georgia, Pennsylvania, all over. When I'm brought in, I'm asked to determine if there are any relevant psychological factors that might be of importance for the process of jurisprudence. And so sometimes I'm asked, is a person competent to stand trial? Sometimes I'm asked, did a person have diminished capacity at the time that they committed an act? Sometimes I'm just asked, what happened? Why did this happen? So then my work really became understanding how a baby born with all the potential in the world winds up sitting across from me accused of a crime or convicted of a crime. And then what are all of the factors that went into that story that led us here? And then my job is to go to the courts and expose it. It's easy to dismiss someone as just a bad person. That's a very, very shorthand way of doing it. But it doesn't make you then turn around and go, how do we avoid this in the future? Because you just write this off as that's just a bad person. But I always try to remind the juries that there are people coming up behind this person with a similar story. And they'll be here too if we don't actually pay attention to the why and then seek to intervene in the lives of young children and adolescents and young adults in a way that gives them something restorative and allow them to grow beyond the pains of their misery. At the University of Rochester, we're really fortunate to have the Mount Hope Family Center here, which is a nationally renowned treatment facility for children who've experienced trauma. And we also have the Golisano Children's Hospital. We have a lot of great supports here, really focused on helping to sort of mitigate the impact of significant life events. I'm a Black male born in Savannah, Georgia. My first house had, a lot of people in it and a few bedrooms, right? And I was born to a mom who was, 18, turning 19 when she had me. She was married to my dad, and that didn't work out very long, right? And I got a story that can be told about all of that. But I try to get people to appreciate that the pain that I see when I travel through the hollows of West Virginia looks a whole lot like the pain that I saw when I was, in the Bronx. You know what I mean? It's just located in different places, but the pain is the same. The hunger is the same. Do I think people are born criminals? And I don't believe so. Every single human being is going to have a trauma or a few. What's important is not just that internal grit and that all of that stuff that you hear about, But what's also important is how systems around you react in a way that allows you to get back to normal. I'm a kid of trauma, but boy, did I have incredible nurturing relationships around me.